I don't know why you're so foggy. It's probably my glasses. I got a lot going on here, and you get to go along with me, so bear with me. And of course, you're at a different angle. Phone, please don't fall. How are you? Try that. I'm gonna step over here. Good morning. Happy Sunday to you. I got a lot going on in this crazy brain this morning, and you get to go along with me. But in the meantime, we're gonna make coffee. We'll be thinking about the dress. $3, Plato's Closet. And honestly, I bought it months ago, and it was too small. So what does that tell you about my lifestyle right now? Because it fits fine. But we're making banana bread. Gonna make some coffee, and if I feel like it, probably when I am off of this, I'm gonna make a bran muffin cupcake, I think. I don't know, but how are you, and how has your week been? Bear with me, you're gonna hear lots of noise. My glasses are completely like yuck. Worked in the garden. Worked in the garden. Worked in the garden. My garden's coming along this morning. The deer were all lined up against my back fence, and I was watching them, and I'm like, please do not jump that fence and come get in my garden. And although I'm about this close to planting corn at the fence line, so the deer will stay there, they were all there. They were all lined up, though, against the fence looking in. And I'm like, don't you dare jump that fence. So I stood out there, very entertained by then. They were babies. Okay, can I see any better? Let's see. Oh, that's a little better. A little better. But I'm making coffee. Are you saving your grounds? I think I've said that before, too. Are you saving your grounds for your garden? It's so important. The garden needs the nitrogen, and that's exactly what that is. I usually save about, I don't know, 6, 7 of those before I go to put it out in the garden. But everything is coming along lovely. If you go to look at my shorts, you can see how well my garden is coming along. I now have 9 tomato plants, 9 pepper plants, 3 eggplants. My garlic is coming up. I've got onions that are coming up. My snap peas are growing beautifully up the makeshift trellis I made. Menards, though, oh my God. I said I wanted an ornamental piece for the middle of my garden. If I could have something with a weather vane on it, I would do that, but Menards. I told you, since I know how to get to the back way to Menards from my work, that's almost dangerous, but they've got the ornamental piece that I want for the garden, and they had some really pretty trellis things, but now that my snap peas are growing up on that trellis, I don't want to mess with them. I planted cantaloupe, watermelon, and more carrots by seed. One of the cantaloupes is up about that much, but nothing else has come up yet. It is raining cats and dogs here in St. Louis, go figure. And if I remember correctly, last year at this time, it rained a month. And I think that's why my tomatoes did so well. Not necessarily the peppers, and you really only get 2 good peppers on a plant. It is rare you get more than 2 peppers, and if I'm wrong, feel free, tell me. Was out Friday, needed to get out of my house, to get out of my head. Swear the job I'm at, I told you I'm leaving. I'm looking at mid-June to the end of June. Oh, and trust me, I have other things that are following behind. The grass doesn't grow under my feet. But anyway, went and had lunch with a friend at Cracker Barrel on Friday, and then ran over to Kimswick and did a little shopping. Got some good hazelnut beans. I'm going to blend it up. You're going to hear all kinds of noise. And I'm doing serious baking when I break out the stand mixer. Going to do some banana bread today. And if you are not following the banana bread guy, who's just humorous, he's a young kid looking for a wife. And he always says, I need a banana bread baddie. Say that 90 times. Let's see how well you work saying that. But he's just an interesting kid, and he's also a musician. Don't know his name, but if you're out looking for some humor from a youngin', go over to TikTok and find him, and just in the search bar put banana bread baddie conversation, and he'll come up. He's a good looking kid. I don't know, he might be 22, 23. He could probably call me grandma. They're putting a garden in at the restaurant where I work. The brewer guys, they've taken that on for a community garden. If you're in the St. Louis, Missouri area and you've got extra plants you want to donate, send me a private message, and I'll let you know where to drop them off. I don't really like to give the name of where I work for several reasons. Okay, I always forget how this works, and I wish you could smell these. I wish you could smell them. You know, you can take your coffee beans, and you can set them in a bowl and put a little tea light on top of it and burn the tea light, and you will get the scent of the coffee. Walking into that shop, though, in Kimswick, I could have lived there. And they weren't selling coffee, though. They were selling, like, coffee to drink. They were selling the grounds and the beans, and oh my God, but this is wonderful. I'm going to do a little hazelnut with my Folgers this morning, and then we're going to bake. Let's see if we can do this, because like I said, I always forget. And you can always tell, oh my God, it smells wonderful. You can always tell how fresh your beans are by how they have like an oil kind of coating on them. These are fresh. And there's a process to coffee. Always. There's a process to everything. But I'm Kitryn Marie. Reside in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm an artist, writer, speaker, life and business coach. Teach a variety of art and communication classes. That's all they are. Art and communication classes. No MD behind my name, no big degree of anything. I know more information than what most people realize. Studied a whole bunch of stuff. Bunch of stuff. And I'm not digging my hair this morning, although I did color it. Yeah, that's a little better. Anyway, trying to veer out of working in the restaurant industry. Been doing that for 32 years. The restaurant industry has changed. I no longer want to do it. I have a bad shoulder. It is difficult to carry a tray. And honestly, out of the 31 years, I never had to carry a tray. It was a small mom and pop kind of place, dive-ass tavern. And this place, they require you to carry a tray. And that ain't my thing. It's too big of an establishment. There's too many people. I don't care for the customer base. And I'm leaning out. Bad hip, bad knee, bad shoulder, bad attitude. But you deal with the public, and let's see how well you kind of fare in life. But let's make coffee, because I drank a half a pot this morning, and it is not enough, and I got a full day ahead of me. How's the weather where you are? Now, it's going to be noisy, so bear with me here. It's going to be noisy. Let's see if I can do this. I'll do that. Should be enough. How's the weather, though, where you are? Oh, it's perfect. Do you have a coffee grinder? It's probably more than enough than what I need, because I always do 2 scoops in my coffee. But do you have a coffee grinder? Do you use it? This container I got. Oh my God, my oldest is 41. Maybe when he was 16. Schnucks. I don't know what your major grocery store is, but had, like, you bought the filters and it came in a container. Don't know where the lid is, but this has, like, saved me. But what do you got going on today? Well, again, what's the weather? What are you working on? Working on, in general, your house, with project, your garden, working on yourself. It's always important to be working on yourself. It is important to always be reflecting about how you were acting in life and how other people are viewing you. You really only get one time to make a really good impression, and you don't get a second chance, typically, to do something better, bigger, so somebody else can change their mind about you. And people are always going to be big critics anyway, so live your life the way that you know how. You're responsible for your world, nobody else's. You are responsible for how you choose to participate in this life. Let's see, where can I put this? Let me put that right down there. Okay. And so, this is how you will always see my kitchen, basically. There are no dishes. I did dishes last night because you have to have a clean workspace, and that's my OCD thing. I will nervous clean as I go along because you have to have a clean kitchen. And I saw, and I'm jumping subjects, but I saw on, new houses that are being built, they are all going back to that content creator's dream kitchen, whether you're a content creator or not. If you are a foodie and you love to cook, oh my God, more cabinets than you can imagine, a full counter space with a functioning island does my heart good. I tell you. I'm like, oh, and I don't have enough plugs in this house. What I saw had plugs everywhere. So I'm hoping, like modern day code for electric, that you have to have more than 4 outlets. I don't know how that works. That's not my skill. But oh my God, I'm like, just to have a content creator's kitchen. Got a lot to say, but really not a lot to say. Like I said, I'm not really in any better of a mood than I was last week. I worked a double on Thursday, which I never do anymore, but my manager was short a person. We are short staffed. There's a hiring freeze. And she said, hey, do you want to work this event? It's real simple. And it was simple. And I was already there, so I was like, why not? And I did make a little bit more money. It was an event for 45 people, and 15 showed up. There was so much food left over. And being Italian, having food that's wasted, and it doesn't go to waste. I mean, typically, if you are a good customer client, I will get boxes where you can take your food home. Usually you're not allowed, especially in the banquet facility, you're not. But at the restaurant, depending on who you are, you get to take your food home. And then always, if there's something left. We have really, really good pretzels, and I love a good pretzel. So I brought some pretzels home and some chicken kebabs. That was Thursday. So, the owners were there. He was a little surprised, I think, to see me at night. Had to break his heart and tell him I was leaving his restaurant. You should have seen the look on his face. He was like, you're not leaving. And I said, you're not the boss of me. Yes, I am. But that was priceless right there. And I do watch how my sarcasm and humor is. But at this point, you're at a very dangerous level when you feel you can say confidently what is going to happen. So, I just said, I'm done. I'm gonna retire. And you don't owe anybody an explanation to really why you do anything in this life. It's your life. Like I said, everybody's gonna be a critic. Everybody's going to expect you to do what they do because maybe it works for them and maybe it doesn't work for them. But people who want to have control over everything are going to tell you how to do things. What's the expression? Don't do as I say, do as I do. Well, I do as I do, and I lead by example. And there are just some people I love telling no to. And you can always tell when you are talking with somebody and you're telling them no, and they've never been told no in their entire life. That's always interesting, an interesting outcome. All right, let's do coffee, let's do that. All right, I'm going to use a scoop of my Folgers because it is the best part of waking up. I did try to sign up on Shop My for a content creator. I guess I'm too old. And it goes back to a society that wants to age you out, so where you no longer can participate or work in your job that you've been doing, forever. But anyway, Shop My, look it up if you want to be a content creator. Also the app Noise. I bought off of TikTok yesterday, TikTok shop, my 360 device, the one that follows me around. It's a Pivo, and it's meant for horse lessons and following your horse around. And I guess I was on the free version of it, and I wasn't real thrilled with the app to begin with. But I ordered a new 360 device off of TikTok. I started out as a photographer, and I had tried in the last month or so to get my camera back out, to get back in that mode of getting out and taking pictures. So I bought one of those apparatuses that you put on top of your camera, that when you were taking a picture, you can use your phone. So I bought that, and then I bought a new tripod, because the 3 that I have apparently isn't enough. But this one is tall, because like I always say, when you are content creating, you want a slimmer angle, and for words, you want to leave a little space above your head in case you want to put words, or a little bit on the side. But this particular tripod clips onto things, so you get overhead shots if you are creating food, or you're doing something that you want your people, your viewers, to see how you were doing it. Like, it'll be great, one, when I'm cooking, and if I'm doing an art project, if something is overhead. And my one tripod will angle a little bit, but it's not really what I want. So I think it will be here June 6th. Today's May 31st. Did you see the blue moon last night? Once in a blue moon. And I had said it was a Cancer moon. So sorry, it's a Sagittarius moon. But we're getting ready to, what are we, in Gemini season now? But there was something about some planet being in Cancer, the sign of emotion. I don't know. It's a hobby I have. Okay, coffee's made. Let me turn this on. Let me get my cup out of the microwave, and then we're going to talk banana bread. Oh, I got to show you too before we go into banana bread. Okay, you can take an onion, stick some toothpicks in it. Now I put white onions or yellow onions. I've got them growing out there. If you take an onion, take the end part of it, toothpicks, water, stick it in a bowl. You can see this is starting to grow out. It's going to go in the garden for red onions. I'm going to put that over here. I've got to show you my celery, because that's how I did my garlic and my carrots. But look at this. You can take just your end of your celery, because it will regrow. But isn't that kind of cute? I'm going to put that in the garden once it gets to be about like that. I'm running out of space, though. It's like, where am I going to put these cantaloupe and watermelon? And I still have sunflowers to put in. But like I said, since I'm not going anywhere, since I'm miserable at my job, I have to do things that are going to creatively put me in a better mood, because man, oh man, my attitude is not real great, and I don't hold back anymore. Probably a curse. It is a curse. Okay. What do I do with? And I lose dish towels all over. I saw, though, the cutest dish towel holder that I thought if I ever get back to sewing, I would do. You take a pot holder, like that, you fold it, and you take your dish towel. For those of you that sew and are looking for a good project, take your dish towel. You know, it's Christmas around here all the time. But you take that and you put that on that, gather it, sew it across, straight seam, and then you take and you flip that up. Then you got a dish towel, and then you put a little button here, and then it hangs. The one I saw was absolutely darling. It had strawberries on it. And my first kitchen after I got married 100,000 years ago was strawberries. There were strawberries everywhere. So, but anyway, I saw that the other day and I'm like, well, that gives me an idea to make something if I ever get in the mood to sew again. But I'm right now working on the garden. And then I'm like, well, I know how to make bread now, so it cannot be that difficult to make pasta, because in the event that if I go broke over the next, 4 months, I'll have produce, I'll be able to make bread, and I'll be able to make pasta, and then everything else, I guess I'm just going to have to wing it. I saw one gal on the internet, and I feel bad for these young moms. $1,600 she was paying for daycare. There are months I don't make $1,600, and I'm thankful that in those years I was able to stay home. How? How does everybody do it? I'm gonna grab my other coffee out of the microwave. Hold on. It's not hot enough. Let's try that again. But I don't understand how all of these young single moms are doing it. She was actually crying. She had to buy groceries for her 3 kids. She had a full-time job. She said she had to pay for her groceries in 3 different kinds of ways to do it. So, I mean, I don't know what the payments were, but that says something when you're at the grocery store and you know you have a certain amount of cash, you have a certain amount in your bank account, and then you have to put something else on credit. There's something wrong with that whole big picture. There's something so wrong with that big picture. And I won't go down the healthcare rabbit hole, because y'all know how I feel about that. You're better out of pocket. God forbid something really catastrophically happen, no hospital is going to turn you away. Take that money if you can, put it in a little savings, put it in a money market, something that you can get back out if you need to, but stop paying health insurance. Anyway, we're making banana bread once my coffee is done here. But anyway, I had said, I feel like I've lost a little bit of inches. Bought this dress, months ago, and it was too tight. But because of my mood, because not a whole lot is going on other than the physical activity that I've been doing in the garden. And ladies, you want to go to a gym, you don't have any money, put a garden in. Work in flip-flops. Now, probably some doctor, some physical therapist, somebody else is going to say flip-flops. That is so dangerous. Hold on, coffee. You want a good workout? You want a good workout? Get yourself a good shovel. You're going to be planting. Get yourself some good garden gloves. You know, really get in with the dirt, feel the dirt. Flip-flops, make sure they're decent flip-flops where you're not going to like fall out. Take your flip-flops when you are using your shovel and you were digging in. Do you know the muscles that you use in your whole backside, your back thighs? Oh my God, I feel like I have been on a Stairmaster for, 48 hours. I mean, it really, and then you're down on your knees and you're in that dirt with your gloves and everything, and you're sifting through the dirt and throwing all the weeds and everything away. You're moving your arms, you're just really throwing your whole body into it. It is the best workout ever, ever. And I think that's probably why I'm, down an inch or two. But here I'm going to show you what my weakness has been now. Normally, I only drink a soda 1 glass or 2 at work because it's right there. I'm drinking a lot of water with a lot of lemon. I love that tartness. But, my downfall is a box of Cheez-Its, and my kid, who's been buying his own little groceries, helping within the house, he'll always say, Mom, I got you a box of Cheez-Its. Now, I try not to eat the whole box in one setting. I'm not a go-to for comfort, shove a bunch of stuff in me because I'm stressed like that. But when I want something that I know is going to taste really well, I'll go grab a box of Cheez-Its. Not a big candy person, but I have such a weakness for orange slices. That's because of my dad. My dad loved orange slices. And then most people don't like this, but black licorice. Do you know the potassium that's in black licorice? What's this particular one? 18 milligrams potassium. Do you know how much potassium you need in your body so you don't cramp up all the time? And I know black licorice has that anise kind of flavor that most people don't like, but it's really good for you. It's really good for you. But so in the last couple days, sadly, I haven't been real hungry, not wanting to eat. I find myself a hand in the Cheez-It box or a handful of orange slices and black licorice. And I told the kid, I promise I am going to start cooking here eventually again if I get my head in the right frame of reference. But you know how that is when you were miserable at your job and you were trying to function and you are looking at all of your finances and what the bills all are. My gas bill was a little over $500. Now, mind you, that's for 2.5 months. I just paid $350 towards that. Water bill's $271, what it comes quarterly. $271 is really not a lot. I paid $125 on that. I still have to pay the sewer, which I haven't in months because there hasn't been enough. What I say, my last check was for 2 weeks for $745. Bullshit. Nobody lives on that, and nobody should be made to live on that. This check was almost $900, so I could kind of stretch, and then I got to leave enough in there for the car insurance. So it's like, I don't know how you were all doing it, but this is how I'm doing it, and I know what it's like to be broke. I know what it's like to have 25 cents to your name. I know what it's like to have your car repossessed after you had been making payments, and then the finance company decided to hold payments. I know what that's like. I know that feeling of you are this close to losing your house and you are doing everything in your power. And here we are now in this crazy economy that we are living in. The cost of groceries keep going up. People are losing their jobs. AI is taking over. It's like if you do not have the demand or the need for a service or a product or a company, it's all going to go away. Well, there seems to be that trickle-down effect. And as much as everybody wants to blame, something that's going on in another country, a control that we do not have, we're looking at our gas prices. I drive a Jeep. It's 2016. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing new. It's almost at 100,000 miles, which I hate. $25 mostly used to fill me up. I don't go anywhere though. Grocery store, work, thrift store, I just don't go anywhere anymore. And as much as I really want to get in my vehicle and I want to go and I want to drive and I want to get the hell out of here, I can't. One, gas. Two, I don't really trust the car. And three, with all the things that I've had to endure over the last couple years, with my other car breaking down, my horse dying, fighting with the vet, fighting with the dealership, trying to keep afloat within the restaurant, it's kind of created a post-traumatic stress disorder. So I go to put gas in my car the other day. I don't ever let it get to E. Usually between a half of a tank and a fourth of a tank is about when I fill up. Every 2 weeks, $25, clockwork. Like I said before, it would always fill my tank up. Now I filled it up, I was at a fourth, and it only went to 3/4. And I'm like, this isn't good, and I'm glad I don't go anywhere. But I'm like, when is enough is enough? When is it you really start voicing how you think and how it's affecting your life? Because there is that trickle-down effect. The more that you can articulate how you are feeling in an environment that is not working for the American person, I think somewhere along the line, whatever it would take, non-violent, that something will change. But it does not change until you voice your opinion and then you start to back off and not participate in certain things. And I know we all have to go to work. I understand that. We all have to eat. We all have to go to the grocery store. It's living. How are you living? When I'm teaching my vision board class, I'm gonna veer, and then we're gonna do the banana bread. But when I am teaching my vision board class, we talk about how you grew up, and were you poor, or were you just lower middle class? And you didn't know any different because you were always provided for. You always had some food in your refrigerator. You always had clothes to wear. There was at least one vehicle in your family. You got to participate Friday night if you went to the roller rink or if you went bowling. I'm trying to think of all the things. We ice skated, we roller skated, we hung out at malls. There was always like a big group of us. I always had at least $5 in my pocket, always. But that $5 could get you a soda, an ice cream, a candy. It could get you into the movie theater. It could get you a popcorn and a soda. $5. Okay, so that lower end middle class, again, I teach this in my vision board class. If you compare life now with your children, how are you comparing apples and oranges? And are you recognizing patterns that you are carrying over as an adult looking back? Are you questioning how your folks did it? Are you questioning the reality of today? Are you questioning the way that you spent money? My grandma, my mom died when my sister and I were really young. My grandma and grandpa took care of me and my sister. Grandpa was a shoe cobbler. Grandma was a stay-at-home. She kind of handled the house, and so she sewed on the side for a little extra money if she needed. She didn't meal prep, but we had the exact same meal every week, Monday through Sunday. And we never ate leftovers, but she ate leftovers for lunch. I always loved olive loaf, pickle loaf, fried bologna. That was my go-to as a kid. Not a big breakfast eater, never was a big breakfast eater. But dinner, when it came to dinner or supper, whatever you call it, how did your parental figure, how did they cook for you? And if you were looking at your children, your family now, how are you cooking for them? You know, I followed that Alyssa girl, the corporate mom, baseball mom, and they do a lot of takeout. And sometimes she'll let slip. Now, mind you, her and her husband can afford a lot of different things, and probably most of us will never be able to. Not that we are not trying, but there's always that extra bracket that you can never get into. And I look to see at what they spend when they are ordering out for 3 children, her and her husband, an easy $218. Most of us don't even have $218 to go to the grocery store. So if you look to how you are living now versus how you lived as a kid, where's the comparison? Where is the cutoff? And where do you think the economic value still is within you? And are you taking all of those traits that you knew you grew up with, and are you trying to implement them now into how you were feeding your family or how you were living life? But I talk about that in my vision board class when we talk about economics. We talk about family values. We talk about, the basics of how we live and what you need bare minimum to survive. So as I am leaning out of, I promise we're going to get into the banana bread, as I am leaning out of food and beverage, knowing I physically cannot do my job anymore for several different reasons, mostly just physical. I don't have the stamina, I don't have the strength. On top of I don't have the patience anymore because this newer public form, they've lost all sense of how to be nice, how to be gracious. So as I'm leaning out, I'm like, okay, what is on the other side of all of this? If you learn to content create, and I talk about this in my business coaching class, if you learn to content create, if you learn to talk about a niche that you were really, really good at, and you start you're not going to make a lot of money. You're not going to probably make any money at all, but you are branding your identity by what you know how to do and how you can teach somebody something that they are not familiar with, that they will want to follow along because you are no longer talking about selling a product. They are now invested in you because they want to know, well, how are you doing it and how is your head above water? And that is the whole thing when you are branding your identity. Who are you? What is your story? Where did you come from? And what are you doing with all the gifts and the talents that all your innate things that you're just born with that you know how to do? Like I just know how to paint. Never had a painting lesson in my life, and I just know how to paint. Canvas. Creative. I know how to draw. Never took one art class other than what you're required to do in school. Innate talent. Cooking. You learn those things. Who are your mentors? From what you have learned from your mentors, how are you turning around and showing somebody else your knowledge and your experience? And that is all content creating is. I had said a while back, my person who I dated on and off for 6 years, we traveled a lot. And him and I would banter back and forth about different things. He knew I loved to content create. He kind of giggled about it, thought it was kind of funny. But I had always said, if we get an RV, and I want you, whoever is watching, as a couple, look to see what the two of you can do, that you can work together to build an audience. My person, I had said, let's get an RV. We both love to fish. I'd always outfish them. Love to fish. Let's get an RV. Let's figure out how to take a vehicle with us. At the time, I was driving a Sonata. Let's find a product that we both can use, or you can use, and I'll find something else. And as we are traveling within this RV, and we are talking about on the road, how we're getting along, because you really want to know how to get along with somebody or what the relationship is. Back in a trailer of any sort, we would sit in a gas station and watch these big RVs, and we would sit there and we would watch the wife stand in the parking lot, motioning, and then she'd start yelling, don't go that way, don't go that way, you're going to run something over, you're going to hit something. And there she is, usually standing there with a little critter in her hand. And you damn well know that the guy that's trying to back something out is furious that he needs his wife to tell him how to do something. My person and I would just sit in his truck and we would just laugh. I can't back anything in. So I am the last person on this planet you want to back anything into. But I would say to him, if we're on the road, and we are doing all these things, why are we not able to create content on having an RV, on having traveling, on being on the road? When we'd stop at a gas station, I love those donuts that have it's like coconut on it. That comes from being a little girl, and my uncle had a catering house, and my dad would go in the morning and raid all of his Hostess things. Those were my favorite. Get a fancy coffee, get those crunch donuts, and then whatever he would usually get, water and a power drink and so on and so forth, some chip of some kind. Those little things. If you as a couple are looking at each other and you're bantering, and if you can go public with your banter so people know what not to do, you are branding an identity. If you are picking a product that you love, let's just say this stand mixer, okay? This was a gift from my person. I believe it fell off a truck, but that's okay because I utilize it. This is a KitchenAid. It's an artesian stand mixer. It's 325 watts, and it's made in St. Joseph, Michigan. That there alone, I have told you about the product. Now you can get it on Amazon, you can get it in any high-end department store, I would imagine like Kohl's, probably Target has it. There, right there, you're talking about the product and where they can go to get it. Now you look at what you have and what are you using, and then you show people how you are going to use it. So from there, we're going to go into, and I've been on this a very long time, 43 minutes. This is the longest I've been on a live. But we are going to make banana bread now because I've done enough business coaching, life coaching, and talking, articulating. All right. The stand mixer. I love it, I love it, I love it. I need to take a drink of coffee. Even if you have backyard chickens, you've developed a relationship with your chickens. A lot of people want to know how to homestead. And they're done, again, with expensive groceries. They want to know, how are you homesteading? I still can't figure out that whole chicken thing. I watched some guy this morning. In fact, I put it up on my shorts. Homesteading. He's 31 years old because he's afraid he's going to have a midlife crisis, so he wants to get a jump on, that. Talk about what you know how to do. My dad used to talk about driving a truck. I listened intently. Am I ever going to drive a truck? God, I hope not. If I can't hardly back my Jeep in anywhere, you don't want me driving a truck. You don't even want me driving a boat. Okay, but let's. Enough about nonsense as I drop things. And I'm looking for, I picked these bread pans up at a thrift store because I love to thrift shop. I'm looking for glass pie pans. I've been looking for. Time when I was making pancakes, I had used my mom's cookbook that she received somewhere between 1956 and 1958. This was my cookbook that I got when I got married 100,000 years ago. I'm now divorced. Long time. I think I've been divorced now longer than I was married, and I was married 11 years. But this is a Pillsbury Kitchen Family Cookbook. You can tell how much I have used it by the pages. And, you know, I was talking about maybe making bran muffin later. I'm going to show you. And I need to, like, clean off these pages when I'm done baking because I will make a mess. I would say it's not my shift at work if I have not made a mess, and it is not my kitchen if I have not made a huge mess trying to bake. Anyway, baking with raisin bran, this makes the best muffins ever. That might be on the list for today, but for right now we're doing banana bread. Where is it at? I had it and then I lost it. It's a simple recipe, but today we are going to be using bourbon. Where's it at? Bear with me. There it is. Okay, it calls for 1 cup of sugar, 2 mashed bananas, half a cup margarine or butter, but I think I'm going to use oil, milk, teaspoon of vanilla, which we are substituting with some wheat whiskey. If I had the peanut butter whiskey, I would put that in there. And I'm also going to put some crunchy peanut butter in. And then I don't do chopped nuts. I use baking soda and salt. And you know, you always want to cream your sugar, eggs, milk, bananas, and peanut butter in first. And then you're going to add your oil in. So let's do that right now. Put that right there. I swear I do need a bigger kitchen. I had looked into, since I was looking at putting in a new front porch and a back porch, and I was bid each $10,000, and that was the basic. To have a room addition put on, to open up the bathroom wall for a Jack and Jill bathroom, it was over $130,000 for a room addition. At that cost, you might as well figure and go move elsewhere. Like, I don't understand it. The kid did fix my back porch, which I was thankful for. Those boards were like $6.99 each, doable, and he knew how to saw down for measurement and use his drill. Okay, let's do this. I'm done talking. Let's put our bananas in. If you do get a good KitchenAid, make sure you have all the correct attachments. I love this whisk one when I am baking for cakes or muffins and certain breads. If you are doing like for bread, make sure you have a hook. I don't know what I did with it. I put it down somewhere. Here it is. Make sure you have a good hook for bread, and then, you know, just a nice little paddle for other cakes and so on and so forth. If you need to gently fold something in, this is the one that you want to use. Lately, though, when I've been making bread, I've just been doing it by hand. My bananas, they're nice and ripe. I bought them a week ago at Rogers Produce, which is my favorite produce place on the planet in Webster Groves, right at Big Bend in Lockwood. But it calls for 2 bananas, but I'm going to use 3, because I always like to improvise a little bit. And you can even save your banana peels and throw them in your garden too. When my dogs, the two sisters, when they were little, because they were so malnourished, I would give them bananas in their food. And they love their bananas. I'm gonna do 3 of those. I probably should cook tonight. I don't know if I will. I'm off tomorrow, and then I go back to the restaurant on Tuesday. You know, like I said before, it's like when you're a kid and you know you gotta go to school the next day. And you start to dread it. That's where I'm at. That is where I'm at. I did reach out to a company that does meal prep, and they offer cooking classes. So I sent them an inquiry this morning, so we will see where that is. I just want to do these independent little jobs. I will keep my banquet job because I can pick and choose. I will continue to promote. I will continue to promote all of my classes, my art classes, my communication classes. You know, I'm still working on my second book. But honestly, you know how that is. You work all day and then you come home trying to be creative. That is the last thing you want to do. Okay, this is actually crunchy peanut butter. What is it? Is it Jif? It's an off-brand. But anyway, I'm going to take that much and I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to take my farm eggs. How many eggs does it call for? 2 eggs. We're going to use 2 brown eggs. 2 brown eggs. Here too, if you get to be so good at your baking, people love good desserts. You could sell your desserts, your cookies, your bread. You know, my whole goal is with all the tomatoes that I had last year, I had tomato sauce that I could have supplied the whole neighborhood with. Learning how to do it from scratch. This year, depending on what the crop is going to be, I'm going to sell my spaghetti sauce. You don't know good spaghetti sauce till you've had mine. Okay, I got that. We're going to do a little milk. Just pour like that. I got that in there. I'm just going to put a little oil. And once you get to be like really good at something, although with baking, you know it's a science and you can fudge a little bit your ingredients, but once you do it so much, you just eyeball it. Do that. Alright, what else? Let me get this mixed for right now. This thing is so quiet. I absolutely love it compared to all the other appliances that I have. I have to tell you too, while I'm waiting for this to mix up. Yesterday they were celebrating my middle grandson's birthday. He turned 13 on May 19th. May 19th is also the day that my mother died, 1968. So it's always kind of special. I knew I was going to be a little late yesterday because I had to get all these things in the yard and because of work and whatever other nonsense that's been going through my head. I text my daughter and I say, she lives out by Six Flags. I say, I'll be there after 3. I get no response. And you have to know my daughter. Her and I have this love-hate relationship and I'm kind of over it. So I leave the house at 3:30. The kid had to be at work I said, check the oil on the car, make sure I got enough oil, which I'm trying to be very diligent about, and that goes back to having the Sonata. Anyway, I get to Antire Road, which is 3 exits before her exit, and there's a major accident on 44. And we all come to a screeching halt on 44 at Antire Road. So, 40 minutes I sit on the highway. 40 minutes. You know, and like I said, I don't trust the vehicle that I drive. It's enough that it gets me back and forth to work. I'm gonna get that open. I may not be able to get that open. There we go. So, you know, I'm listening, and a Jeep, if you have a Jeep, it vibrates to begin with. It's only a 4-cylinder. It's not anything high powered, but it just always shakes, and I don't like that. And then knowing that it's got the higher miles on it, and the person who had it before me really didn't take care of it, so I'm stuck with trying to deal with all the other things after the fact, and I know brakes are going to be coming real soon. I have some Yahoo truck driver from Tennessee who's riding, you know, my bumper, and we're all coming to a screeching stop. And I'm like, oh my God, do not hit me, mister. Why are you so close to me? Okay, we're not measuring this either. That's good. So anyway, all of a sudden, every emergency vehicle, paramedics, state troopers, fire trucks, and we are 3 lanes back to back, and the fire truck can't get through, and he's veering everybody over. At that particular time, it starts to thunderstorm, and rain is coming down so quick, so hard, and where my daughter lives, it's always like prone for flash floods, and they were doing an outside party for the middle grandson. And I'm thinking, well, I'm already late, so left the house 3:30, takes me 15-20 minutes to get to the Antire exit, sat there for 40 minutes. The fire truck pushes everybody to the right. I end up getting off at Antire Road, trying to get back because I was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. It had flashed flooded so bad on those back roads once I veered off and got off the highway that I had to backtrack some route. I was driving for 2.5 hours yesterday afternoon, and I just ended up turning around coming home. And I sent my daughter a text and just said, hey, there was a huge accident, not making it, and my nerves are done. I mean, what do you do when there's a major accident and even, you know, the emergency vehicles can't get through? All right, let's add some sugar. Just a little bit of sugar. We don't want this real sweet, but we want it to have a nice little bite. And again, I'm not measuring, although it does call for, what's it called for? Oh, a cup. So I know she's angry, but I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say at this point. You know, what's your relationship with your kids? And as they get older, you know, they think they know best. They have kids of their own. They really don't know what we all go through at this point in our life. Although I love those young millennials who say, I just don't understand why my parent doesn't want to have anything to do with me or my children. Are you kidding? If my daughter would say, Mom, can you come stay a weekend at my house? I want to go do this, that, and the other. I'd be there in a heartbeat. I love my 4 grandbabies. But, of course, when Grandma's in the house, everything goes. And I think she doesn't like that. Remember, the daughter is the logical one. Okay, so far I've got my eggs, my milk, my whiskey, my peanut butter, 3 mashed bananas. Now we're going to add in some baking soda, not powder. Alright, and then we're going to add in the flour. This is how I measure my, that much. Let's do that. I will measure out my flour though. Once I find what I did with my measuring cup. I'm excited to get my new equipment though. Those little things all make me happy. And when you're using a stand mixer, you really only want to put a little bit in at a time because it will go everywhere. And I don't like using the guard part that comes on it. Okay, let's do this. Mix that down. And of course, you want to scrape down your sides. Get yourself a good wooden spoon like a good Italian woman would do. Do this. I really wish this weekend I would have been at Table Rock Lake though. I want to go fishing so bad I can hardly stand it. I just need to get out of here. I need a little vacation. I need a break. What about you? Do you get to take vacation? I am used to going on a vacation July, October, and a few days January. That has been the norm in my world, with a few little weekend day trip kind of things. And because I'm trying to minimize what I have in my house to make my house more functional, I have not gone to really to any thrift stores other than the clothes store because I really do need some new outfits. You know, that's the other thing too. You become recognizable by your style, your hair, your glasses, what you wear, your mannerism. And people will either hate you, they will be humored by you, or they will just love everything about you. If you don't know by now, humans are finicky by nature. And some people will love to hate you just because they are so decided on not understanding you. They don't want to like you, but they end up liking you. Okay, this last bit. Let's just dump that all in there. It was 2 cups of flour. If I had chocolate chips, I'd put chocolate chips in here. When you're using flour like that, don't go over 2. I mean, otherwise you have it everywhere. That is a perfect consistency. I will turn my oven on at 350. And you'll want to bake it for a good 50, 60 minutes, you know, get a toothpick. I always like to use skewers to put in to see if it's done. You can use a skewer for anything. They're better than toothpicks. Turn that off. you've been enlightened. I hope you've been entertained. I hope you learned something. I hope you have kind of reflected a little bit about your childhood and your family life now. I mean, we're never going to go back to those days. And although you will hear me say all the time, I want to go back to 1977. That was the glory years, 1977. I was a junior in high school. I was a pom-pom girl. I was popular. I had more friends than you could shake a stick at. And it's not like that now at all. It's not. The older you get, you really see who your friends are. You really see how they can be swayed. You can really see who's in it for whatever reason to use what they need at your expense. All right, that looks delicious. Now we got an oil pan. This is probably enough for one loaf. And you want to make sure that you get all the air out of it too. So we're going to kick it up just a notch. Bite. One bite of the batter. It's yummy. That's so good. So good. That whiskey, I kid you not, if I can remember where I put anything. Bourbon, whiskey, whatever is it that you have, the alcohol part will burn off. It's the good flavor that you want. It makes a world of difference. And if you don't want a whole big bottle, trust me, I've used this to cook with, and I used to do liquor demonstrations, so that's how I ended up with a lot of different liquor bottles. You can go over to your Dirt Cheap. You can go over to Total Wines and More. Any of those little liquor places, you can go get small bottles and just, experiment with bourbon. You don't know what you're missing, really. Four Roses and Woodford Reserve is kind of my favorite. The peanut butter whiskey is really good. But this is what I had on hand. Alright, so now, let's see, this thing leaked. This is just a non-stick butter, Aldi's. We're going to spray that. I'm going to show this to you. And then I'm going to put that in there and pray I don't spill it all over. Need a bigger kitchen. Need a bigger house. Need more money. But don't we all? Don't we all? Okay, let's move this thing back like this. And let's see. That's what your batter should look like. I'm going to pour that all in there. Keep your fingers crossed on that meal prep position that I'm looking into. Find a nice, maybe an elderly couple that just doesn't want to cook anymore. I'd be the girl, I'd be right up their alley. They wouldn't know what they'd been missing. If you have a product or you need somebody to do a little content creating for you, a little brand identity to help you, you can reach out at Kitryn Marie at gmail.com. or kitrynmarie@yahoo.com. There we go. Just yummy. There we go. And I'm going to pop that into the oven for a good 50-60 minutes. It's been preheating. Slip that right on in there. Turn my light on, get my kitchen all cleaned up, and decide if I'm going to do the bran muffins. But I am Kitryn Marie, an artist, writer, speaker, life and a business coach. Reside in St. Louis, Missouri. Teach a variety of art and communication classes. Published author, When He Had Her, available on Amazon. Working on my second book, Seaside Shore. Doing a little bit more in content creating. This is second nature to me. I studied communications, I studied theater, I studied journalism, musical vocals, and then psychology and life coaching way down the line. So this is all, it's very innate. It is nothing for me to talk you to death or force feed you. But remember, be happy, be blessed, and thankful for everything. Fate turns on a dime, and it is up to you to decide what side of that coin you want to be on. If you do not apply yourself in some other avenue, you will always be a miserable cow, kind of stuck in an environment that you just refuse to get out of. There's so much in this life. Get away from the same 10 people that you frequent. You know, get off the only 2 streets that you know. There's a big world. If you are interested in taking my group painting class, it is $48 a person. You must have a minimum of 12. If you are interested in putting a vision board together based in life coaching, discovering, you know, where you've been, where you want to go, product of environment, behavior, and all the actions that go along with it, that class is $65. If you are a creative-minded woman who wants to learn how to monetize your hobby, get you out of 9 to 5 so you can set that base on what you feel you are worth, that class is $95. But take care, see you real soon, and after this is all over, by all means, leave a comment. I have comments turned off because some of the derogatory things that are said while I'm doing a video, 1, is distracting, and 2, it's really rude, and I'm about over all the people who are rude in life. But y'all take care. Have a great, wonderful Sunday. Take care. See you soon.